Most people think relationship tension is about two people, but often there is a third presence in the room, even when that person is not physically there. Psychology explains why emotional triangles form so easily and why they are so difficult to escape. An emotional triangle happens when tension between two people is managed by involving a third. Instead of resolving discomfort directly, the pressure is redirected. By the end of this, you will understand why triangles feel stabilizing in the moment, what happens in the brain during these dynamics, and how they quietly shape families, friendships, workplaces, and romantic relationships. At its core, an emotional triangle is about anxiety regulation. When two people experience conflict, uncertainty, or emotional intensity, the nervous system becomes activated. Heart rate increases, thoughts race. The discomfort demands relief. Direct confrontation feels risky, so the mind looks for a safer outlet. Bringing in a third person diffuses the pressure. Imagine a couple in conflict. Instead of discussing the issue directly, one partner vents to a friend. The friend offers validation. Tension temporarily decreases. Relief is achieved, but the original issue remains unresolved. This is the paradox of emotional triangles. They reduce anxiety in the short term while preserving it in the long term. The brain reinforces whatever reduces discomfort quickly. If triangulating lowers stress, even briefly, the behavior becomes more likely to repeat. Now consider this in a family setting. A child senses tension between parents. One parent confides in the child. The child becomes the emotional support system. The anxiety between the adults decreases, but the child absorbs emotional weight they were not designed to carry. The triangle stabilizes the parents at the expense of the child's emotional clarity. Have you ever felt caught in the middle of two people? That feeling is rarely accidental. Triangles often form because direct vulnerability feels threatening. When anxiety rises, the amygdala activates. It signals potential danger. The body prepares to defend itself. Speaking honestly in conflict requires emotional regulation. It requires tolerating discomfort without escaping it. Many people were never taught how to do that. So instead, tension is displaced. In friendships, this can look like two people bonding over frustration with a third. The shared complaint creates closeness. It feels intimate, but the intimacy is built on avoidance. The third person becomes a stabilizer for anxiety between the first two. Here is a subtle pattern interrupt. Triangles are not always dramatic or malicious. Sometimes they are quiet habits. For example, instead of telling a coworker that their behavior feels dismissive, you speak to another colleague about it. The conversation feels productive. You feel heard, yet the original dynamic remains unchanged. The nervous system has been soothed without resolution. Why does the brain prefer this route? Because social belonging is deeply tied to safety. Direct conflict risks rejection. Involving a third person feels safer. It spreads emotional risk across more people. The brain calculates safety instinctively. Another layer involves identity. When two people are in conflict, their identities can feel threatened. Admitting fault may feel like losing status or value. Bringing in a third person creates alignment. Someone takes your side. This alignment protects self-concept. It feels validating, but it also strengthens polarization. Over time, triangles can solidify into roles. One person becomes the rescuer, another becomes the victim, the third becomes the problem. These roles reduce complexity. They simplify emotional narratives. The brain prefers simple stories. Pause for a moment. In your closest relationships, do conflicts stay between two people or do they frequently expand to include others? The answer reveals patterns of emotional regulation. There is also a biological reason triangles are compelling. When someone validates your perspective, dopamine increases. You feel rewarded. Oxytocin strengthens the sense of bonding with the ally. This chemical reinforcement makes triangulation emotionally addictive. It feels like connection. Yet true intimacy requires directness. Another surprising insight is that triangles often maintain stability in systems that feared change. In families, for example, if two members begin to grow closer, a third may unconsciously create tension to restore balance. The system seeks equilibrium. This is not always intentional, it is systemic. Human groups operate like emotional ecosystems. When one relationship shifts, the entire structure adjusts. Triangles can prevent deeper transformation. At work, emotional triangles appear in subtle politics. A manager avoids giving direct feedback and instead communicates concerns through another employee. Misunderstandings multiply. Tension circulates rather than resolves. Everyone senses it. Few address it directly. This creates chronic low-level stress. The body recognizes unresolved tension. Even if words are polite, the nervous system detects incongruency. Over time, this can lead to emotional fatigue. Now consider romantic relationships. One partner feels neglected, but does not express it directly. Instead, they seek emotional closeness elsewhere, not necessarily through infidelity, but through excessive reliance on friends or family. The original partner feels distance, but cannot name it. The triangle deepens. Have you ever noticed yourself sharing more about your relationship with someone outside it than with the person inside it? That may signal displacement. It is important to clarify something. Seeking advice or support is not inherently unhealthy. The difference lies in intention. Are you seeking clarity to improve direct communication, or are you seeking validation to avoid it? That distinction matters. Triangles thrive on indirectness. Breaking them requires tolerating discomfort. When anxiety rises between two people, the most regulating move is often to stay present, to speak clearly, to resist pulling in reinforcement. This feels harder initially. The nervous system protests, but direct communication reduces long-term anxiety. It builds resilience. There is also the issue of loyalty binds. When you are placed in the middle, you may feel forced to choose sides. Choosing one feels like betraying the other. This creates internal conflict. The stress of divided loyalty can shape behavior for years. Children who grow up in chronic triangles often become hyper-aware of others' emotions. They monitor moods. They try to maintain harmony. This skill may look like emotional intelligence, but it can also mask anxiety. As adults, they may struggle with direct confrontation. Their instinct is to mediate or withdraw. Understanding this pattern changes how you see yourself. Instead of labeling it weakness, you see adaptation. Here is another reflective question. When tension appears in your life, do you lean toward direct dialogue or do you look for an ally? Neither response makes you flawed, but one builds long-term stability more effectively. Emotional triangles are powerful because they distribute anxiety. They make discomfort manageable, but they also prevent growth. Direct relationships require emotional maturity. They require tolerating temporary instability in exchange for deeper trust. The brain prefers immediate relief, but emotional health prefers long-term clarity. When you recognize a triangle forming, pause. Notice the urge to recruit someone. Notice the pull toward validation. Ask yourself what would happen if you addressed the person directly. The answer may feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is often the doorway to resolution. Emotional triangles are not evidence of bad people. They are evidence of unregulated anxiety within systems. When individuals learn to regulate their own nervous systems, triangles lose power. Clarity replaces alignment politics. Directness replaces whisper networks. Ownership replaces projection. And something subtle shifts. Relationships feel cleaner. In the end, the psychology behind emotional triangles reveals a simple truth. Humans seek safety. When direct connection feels unsafe, we look for detours, but detours extend the journey. If this insight resonates, reflect on where triangles may exist in your life.
Consider how anxiety, validation, and belonging shape those patterns. Share your observations if you feel comfortable, and continue strengthening the skill of direct communication. When two people can stay in the room emotionally without reaching for a third, something stronger than temporary relief is created: trust.